As a woman, ensuring one's safety in public spaces is a major concern. Now, incidents of violence and harassment against women in public transport are not unheard of. Many a times, this can act as a barrier to women's freedom of movement and safety, preventing them from accessing public spaces freely. Amid a growing surge in metro passenger traffic, women traveling in the Bengaluru metro are now demanding another women's coach. Now, the packed condition of the train has heightened concerns over safety, prompting women to demand yet another separate coach for women. Now, there have already been various instances of harassment. Presently, only 1 out of 6 coaches is reserved solely for women in Bengaluru. Now, the situation is in fact so dire that it prompted the Karnataka State Women's Commission chairperson to also undertake a ride on the metro and get a glimpse on the ground situation. The commissioner, in fact, will also be writing to the state government to raise the women's demand.
In an urban metro city like Bengaluru, women who travel massive distances on a daily basis face simple struggles like barely managing to get into the metro trains. Given the fact that there has been a rise in crime against women across the city, the Women's Commission now is planning to write to the government to include a second coach exclusively meant for women, like this one that you see behind me. Essentially, in a metro train, there are 6 coaches, of which one is reserved for women. Now the question arises about how women across the city who travel in the regular coaches, not exclusively meant for women, quite literally struggle to barely hold on to either the rod or to the person's shoulder next to them, struggling. And in several instances, we've seen that there have been cases of harassment being reported from inside the metro trains itself, given the fact that there's so much of a rush that you're barely able to stand balancing yourself. You're standing in a regular compartment. I have to ask you, this is the peak hour right now. The rush of office has begun. How difficult is it to get yourself to stand in the metro with some hand space?
It is really difficult actually. So it is quite crowded to enter into the metro at this peak time. To even stand, there is not even enough space.
Okay.
And even the ladies compartment is quite full. So all the compartments are quite full. So it's like very difficult to get in. Otherwise it takes a lot of time to, because for 2 hours it's peak hour. So you won't get place as well. So somehow you have to adjust and get it.
Okay. Ma'am, if I can ask you, we're seeing that there are several instances of crimes on metros against women as well, whether it's molestation, whether it's harassment, whether it's groping. Many a time in crowds like this, you barely even realize where you're standing. Do you feel that there is a need for a second coach maybe to be reserved exclusively for women?
They can probably do that, or they can probably increase the number of coaches which are there. Because when they know that during the peak hours there's a lot of people traveling in this route, so probably what they could do, they can add like a few more coaches, and they can probably add an extra coach for women as well.
My colleague Neha joins us on the broadcast to get us more details on this. Neha, women's safety is of course a major concern in public transports across the nation, but particularly in Bengaluru Metro, we've seen a few cases also in the recent past. So help us understand what exactly prompted the demand. What's the state government now, of course, has it responded? And also, what's the future looking like as far as a separate coach, another additional separate coach for women is concerned?
Well, actually, yes, every woman today who travels in the BMRCS metro trains would know that it is quite a struggle to be even get in that metro train itself without having been pushed or shoved around. And this is, of course, quite given the fact that there has been a sudden surge in the, passenger traffic in the metro trains. We're, of course, seeing a sudden demand. There are 6 coaches here, and one of which is an all-exclusive women coach. There's now a demand to make 2 coaches, at least women-exclusive coaches, because, it's not just, of course, the matter of standing inside the metro, but the fact that incidents like molestation, groping, and sexual harassment, of course, on the whole has been on the rise in the metro trains, and which is why they're seeing today the demand coming forth. We'll really, of course, have to see how the government now responds to this, demand that the women are putting forth here.